The Simpsons won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about
those magnificent men and their flying machines. Or how I flew from London to Paris in 25 hours and 11 minutes.
Those magnificent men in their flying machines, they go up and up and go down, down. Oh, those magnificent men in the flying machines, they go up, they go down, they go all around.
Yeah.
They do.
You know what's funny? I've never seen this movie. I'm positive I've heard that song.
Oh, yeah.
I like, the second it came on, it was like, oh, man. Like, weird sense memory.
That song was, I don't know if I would call it a hit.
Yeah, it was definitely released.
But it was a song that everybody knows.
Yeah.
I believe it's probably more popular than the movie.
Yeah. I would think if you say those magnificent men in their flying machines, they assume the song.
Well, they go up, diddly up.
Yeah.
And down, diddly
down. Yeah.
I can't wait to get to the oranges of that story. It's so ridiculous. Oh, baby.
Oh, man.
So I know I've seen this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen it since I was like 9
or
10. This is one of those movies, again, that just played on the weekends. Mm-hmm. You know, it was one of those.
This is ripe for like afternoon TV.
It's like this, or the Guns of Navarone, Force 10 from Navarone, the Comanches. You know, it's just all sorts of these old-timey movies. But this is kind of the British answer to It's a Mad, 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 Mad World.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's very British and very different.
Very British.
But yeah, I would say that this movie was made because of the success of It's a Mad, 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 Mad World.
Right. Yeah. And unlike we're just going to call it Mad World.
Mad World, yeah. The show's going to be 48 hours long.
But unlike Mad World, this is a slow burn. This one doesn't start and go. This one starts, kind of meanders around for a while.
Well, you got to know the characters,
look,
Jim.
I'm teasing. I do enjoy it. It is a very different film. And look, you couldn't make 3 hours of this race, because the race isn't that exciting.
No.
They made it exciting.
The race doesn't even happen until after the intermission.
Right. Yeah, it's like an afterthought. But I really enjoy the characters. I enjoyed getting to know them. Yeah. It's funny. It's got really great actors. It's got a lot of fun slapstick. It's silly British humor.
And from a historical perspective, it's really cool to see all these planes they actually built and were using during the movie.
Yes. Unfortunately, they needed to cover up the altimeters.
Yes, I know.
In all the shots, you could see the altimeters, which is fine. I get it.
It's not, the altimeter wasn't used in an airplane until like 1928. And there was something a little bit before that, but like the modern day altimeter that they obviously had on the planes, you have to.
The movie's a lie.
Yeah, it was a lie. I don't know. Why are we doing this, Jim?
What's fun about this movie, what I like about it is I love seeing movies take place in the 60s and have a diverse cast.
Yeah.
And don't narrow everybody down to some sort of stereotype.
Yeah. I mean,
look, they made fun of people.
There are some stereotypes.
Yes, the French Lothario, the German.
The Italian with the 45 kids.
Okay. I guess I was.
But that wasn't, I mean, they were very broad strokes.
Broad strokes, and they weren't character flaws, or they didn't take away from the character.
No, he was very happy that he had all his kids. Yes. And then another one on the way.
And then the Lothario, the Cassel.
Him chasing the woman,
he was
multiple
basically
women.
just a one woman.
Yeah, he thought it was the same woman every time.
Which was such a neat little fun little thing.
Yeah, it was a fun
There's a lot of fun little tidbits in it. And you got Red Skelton at the beginning. He's and the animated beginning. So many different comparisons to Mad World, but really its own thing.
This is showing the difference with the writers in Mad World and this, because Mad World, they had all the character development. It was just during the action,
right? Whereas
this was setting everything up and then having the action happen afterwards. Although there was action throughout the
testing
the planes, and the motorcycles out of control and people punching each other in the face and like.
But again, the story doesn't lend itself to that same slam bang wackadoo beginning, because it is a race with a prize that a newspaper owner
magnate
setup
or whatever. Yeah.
So it does have it needs setup, and we need to get to know these guys before the race because we need to know who to root for. And what's really great is, with the exception of Terry Thomas, there's no real bad guys.
Yeah, like the love triangle, the two dudes, they're both good guys.
Yeah.
And like the good guy's gonna win. And like the way it ended with him was so perfect.
Perfect. But this was a lot more nuanced, and I would have been fine with James Fox or Stuart Whitman ending up
and winning
with Sarah
at the end.
Miles.
Yeah.
Because they were both really good dudes.
Yeah, I just love the fact that Stuart Whitman should have won, and James Fox admits that at the end. And then Whitman's like, well, if you saw him in trouble, you just didn't see him. If you saw the Italian dude in trouble, you would have helped him too. And he's kind of like, well, I don't know. But it's like, so it was an amicable ending. It was a nice ending.
Mutual respect for each other.
Yeah.
It was a friendly rivalry for both the winning the race and winning the hand of Sarah Miles. Patricia.
Who cares what she thinks?
Exactly. Men are telling you what to do.
Although she was a very, very progressive woman for being 1910 and wanting to fly and everything. So
she just wanted to fly. She would do
really
anything.
Yeah, she would do anything just to get up there and fly.
I'll do anything. Just get me up in a plane. I will do anything.
I mean anything.
Yeah. But she wasn't allowed because of her father.
Jello face father.
Yes.
Yeah, Robert Morley. He's so good.
Robert Morley. I can't wait till we get to Gert Frobe.
Oh, he's so good.
Totally forgot I was in this movie, and
he stole the movie.
100%. 100%. He was my absolute favorite thing.
The one of the greatest character. Not flaws, but
idiosyncrasies or habits.
So great.
Every time
he walked,
but he would do this thing.
Yeah, he sounded just like
he could, and I tried to replicate it, and I don't even think Michael Winslow might be able to do that.
It was so good.
It was this very unique oompa band.
Yeah, like he was doing it with his mouth as he walked.
His mouth and his nose, because he would breathe out to be kind of the drum, and then and do the thing. But he did it so perfectly, and the way he would just march and do it, I just wish he was doing it when he was flying the plane.
Oh, I know. It would have been so great.
Anyway, he was a James Bond villain. He was frickin' Goldfinger.
Yeah.
And I forgot that Goldfinger was in this movie. Oh my God. I need to see everything else he's done.
Immediate talent crush, because that guy has such range.
Stole the movie.
Such range.
Stole the movie.
He's so good.
From guys like Benny Hill.
Yeah.
And Terry Thomas. My God. Anyway, let's get into it.
Yeah.
I just, thinking more about this movie, it's not the wham bam, super funny, laugh a minute thrill ride that Mad World is.
No, but nothing.
But what is?
Yeah, nothing is.
But this is a really fun, pseudo-historic, just farce and romp.
It's as historically accurate as you can get, minus a few things which we'll talk about. But but I mean, it comes from the director being a documentarian. Like he wanted to capture what it would essentially be a race in 1910,
and it really impressive international cast with some really great actors,
some amazing actors.
Oh my God, I can't wait to get into it. All right, let's go. Let's do it.
Take yourself back, 1965.
Ooh.
June 3rd, Ed White becomes the first American to walk in space during the Gemini 4 mission. He did this after a Russian cosmonaut became the first person to walk in space on March 18th of the same year. White stayed outside the capsule for 20 minutes. It was the first space mission to be controlled by the Mission Control Center in Houston, as well as the first long-duration space mission returning to Earth on June 7th.
I gotta say, man, every time we talk about NASA or Russia or the space race or space, it absolutely blows my mind that we were able to do that back then with that technology.
Oh, yeah. And essentially in about 8 or 9 years, they were like, we're going to do it. And then 8 or 9 years later, we were on the moon.
On the moon, on a different planet. It's insane. It's just, we used to be so innovative, man.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think it's part of the reason why this movie did so well, because the space race got people more interested in flying again.
Yeah.
And I think this was a look into the early days of flying, and people were like, hey, this is cool.
We also don't have that adversary like we did with the Soviet Union back then.
No.
A healthy rivalry in terms of the space race. We don't really, because it's all billionaires now, and then China, and then everybody's going to the moon, everybody wants to go to Mars.
Yeah.
But it's, instead of it being an exploration science-based situation now. It's just
all-
billionaires
it's all
wanting to do
commercial. Yeah, it's all commercialized.
do space tourism.
But in that same vein, I think what's really fascinating to me is that we literally didn't know how to fly until like 1902.
I know.
And then 57 years later,
We're on
or
the-
67 years later, we were literally on the moon.
That is insanity.
It's 6 decades, and suddenly we're just on the moon. It's like, yeah.
I will have to say, watching that rocket come back into that
Oh,
gantry
yeah,
and pull,
yeah.
that was extremely impressive.
Oh, there's some great stuff going on. I mean, it's just that I wish that NASA had more money and was doing it on their own.
I do too, because that's going to benefit everyone.
Right.
These privatization of the space race is not going to benefit everyone.
it
It's
is
going
not.
to benefit very few.
It's not. June 10th, British European Airways Flight 343 becomes the first civilian jetliner to make an almost completely automatic landing. Although the pilot continued to control the yaw and the roll of the jet, a computer guided the pitch during the descent to London's Heathrow Airport.
That's incredible.
In 1965. I just kind of assumed it had been invented before that.
The computer took up the entire plane.
It did.
There was one passenger on the jumbo jet. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm flying with computers. Yeah. June 15th, the United States Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Charles D. Tubbs was killed and 2 other crewmen injured when their B-58 Hustler bomber crashed at the Paris Air Show. The plane landed short of the runway, striking the instrument approach beacons, and burst into flames in front of thousands of spectators at La Bourget airfield. 90 minutes earlier, the Soviet Union unveiled its new transport airplane, the turboprop Antonov An-22, which they named Antaeus, which remains the largest turboprop airplane ever built.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
That's the thing about air shows.
I know, it's bad, man.
Remember when the Blue Angels crashed?
No.
And
I don't remember that at
they-
all. Oh, yes, I do, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was a big thing at that Naval Air Museum in Pensacola when I went. It was a big thing because they had a whole room dedicated to the Blue Angels.
Oh my God, that is the
Yeah.
most incredible flying.
Oh, yeah, it's insane.
There are some things that I see that I could not fathom doing at all.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
you know, very few things, Adam, because I'm extremely, no.
Can you hear my eyes rolling?
It's just about everything except for sleeping and eating. I'm very good at both of those.
You're top notch.
Number 1. But I could not even imagine what it would take to fly a jet like that.
Yeah, yeah. Even looking at like the simplest of planes, it's getting into that third dimension where
Yeah.
it's like you're not just because we see everything technically in 3D, but like you're getting into that like having to, it's that extra data that suddenly you're like, oh God, like I got to incorporate all of this into, and yes, we have computers and now it's much easier, but the thought of being able to do that, it's hard for me.
Or just being able to fly like that at those speeds and have
yeah.
your body jack around. It's just, I mean, when I was a kid, we used to go to the Miramar Naval Air Station or whatever, base.
Air base, yeah.
Every year in grade school and stuff as like a pseudo recruitment thing, but also to kind of see what's going on. And I got to sit in the cockpit of like an F-16.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's just shit everywhere, man. It's like, what buttons
it's
do you
insane.
push for this and that?
It's insane.
And I've also, when I was a kid, they used to let you go into the cockpit of the jumbo jet or
Yeah,
whatever and
yeah.
sit on the pilot's lap and they'll give you the wings.
So
If
have you ever seen the movie Gladiator?
Exactly. If you wiggle around on my lap a little bit, you'll get your wings.
Oh!
When is that? Something feels weird. But sitting down there and just looking at everything, I don't think it's out on console, and that's one of the main reasons. But I am so intrigued with the Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah. It's crazy how good people get at that.
I have a friend. We have a friend.
Yeah.
Who that's basically what he plays, and he'll go home, get really high, pour a couple drinks, and just I'm gonna fly from Miami to whatever tonight in real time.
Weird. That's so weird.
Yeah, and he just loves it. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I don't really understand that either. But I saw a picture of the Concorde recently, and like there were so many buttons and so many things that the navigator had to be like 10 feet behind them because there was just too much instrumentation.
The amount
crazy.
of stuff you have to know.
Yeah.
It boggles the mind. It's like, and an astronaut, the amount of stuff you have to know. It's
Yeah.
mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just too dumb for that stuff.
June 16th, Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines, or How I Flew from London to Paris in 25 Hours and 11 Minutes, is released in theaters.
Yeah, we wanted to have a title that was almost as long as it's Mad World.
If you actually fly from London to Paris now, it takes an hour and 25 minutes.
Well, we've come a long way, baby.
So those magnificent men, as I'm going to call it for the rest of the episode, starts with Magmen. Starts with Ken Annakin, the co-writer and director of the film.
And the inspiration for Anakin Skywalker.
Correct. George Lucas cribbed everything.
He's like, I like that name. I'm going to call him Annie. I'm going to call the most dangerous thing in the universe Annie.
Don't even. Why do you got to go there? Oh, God,
I love that movie.
Those movies so much. Anakin was a vagabond after leaving school, traveling the world and performing various jobs.
Cool.
When World War II broke out, he eventually joined the Royal Air Force Film Unit after being injured during the Liverpool Blitz. People seem to forget, or at least I do, that England during World War II was being bombed constantly.
Yes.
Constantly.
Yes. The Blitz.
It feels like it's far away.
Yeah.
Like it's like, no, but no, they were constantly being bombed.
Oh, not just England, but France.
Yeah.
And
Well, yes.
Greece.
But France is connected. I'm
Yeah.
just saying is that it always feels like England is so removed from the
Right.
rest of Europe. And it's not. Obviously, it's only 22 miles away over the English Channel.
Yeah.
As we learned during this movie.
Exactly.
But yeah. Anyway, and Liverpool's way on the other side. Like it's just I just can't imagine living during that time. It sounds awful.
Oh, yeah. The Blitz is going down and being in the bomb
Yeah.
shelters all the time. And,
Going down in the underground. Yeah.
not only that, but rationing everything. And
yeah.
I mean,
It's bad news.
people used to sacrifice
What?
for the good of the world.
What?
Yeah, it happened. People actually thought about things other than themselves.
But I have to wear my nylons, Jim. I have to.
Well, I'll get you some nylons and chocolates if you help me out with the resistance.
Okay, all right. He worked as a camera operator on propaganda films for the Ministry of Information and the British Council. He served as assistant director on the film We Serve in 1942, a recruiting film for women directed by Carol Reed. Carol Reed is actually a man.
Oh, well, they picked him because it sounded like a woman. Yeah.
Annakin subsequently directed several training films for Verity Films, a group led by Sidney Box, who was soon to become the head of Gainsborough Pictures. After making a number of documentaries for Box, he gave Annakin his first feature to direct, Holiday Camp, in 1947.
Okay.
Yeah. Holiday Camp resonated with post-war audiences by being escapist fantasy as if the war never really happened, and was a huge success, launching Anakin's film career.
Well, that's perfect. I mean, was it like an alternate reality kind of
No,
thing?
I mean, they never say that, but it was like all the characters, it was like all the destruction never happened.
Oh.
It was just them going through on holiday and like, okay, everything's great. Like,
Yeah.
like being before the war, and yeah.
That was quite quaint. Enjoyed it. Yeah.
The film would also launch a series of movies featuring the family in Holiday Camp, The Huggets, with Anakin directing 3 more features with the family before 1949.
Let's go see the newest adventures of the Huggets.
Film series are really big in England, like all the Carry-On pictures.
Yeah.
Like there's like 57 of them or something.
Jesus.
Like where it's just like, you know, Carry On Boxing or Carry On whatever. Like they just, it's just weird.
Well, we did that too. You know, we had all the Bowery Boys movies.
Right, but
and
we
the
stopped
Dead
doing
End
it in the 50s, and they still do it today.
I guess so. Well, you know, hey,
Hey, I mean, yeah, whatever. Hey, if it works,
I like
if it ain't broken.
I like Brit entertainment. I like
I do
British
too.
TV shows.
I watch way more British TV than I should.
Well, it's true. It's making you snooty.
It is. Anakin would bounce around genres in the 50s, making comedies and thrillers as well as war movies. He was a journeyman. He worked constantly.
Nice.
Anakin was hired by Daryl of Zanuck to direct the British and uncredited French and American interior segments in The Longest Day in 1962, which was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture, eventually losing out to Lawrence of Arabia.
That was a crazy category that year.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. I was thinking about that reading this. I was thinking about The Longest Day, which is an amazing film.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But those type of epics just aren't made anymore.
No.
And
no.
these, you know, these were all like, everything was practical. It was a lot of models and stuff. But when you had 10,000 people,
Yeah.
you had 10,000 people.
Oh,
know,
yeah,
it's-
you had to. Yeah, there was no CG. There was no, AI cloning in random people.
Just miss the spectacle of some of those old war movies. And,
Yeah, I agree.
It's just, I'm getting all sentimental and wistful.
In 1961, Annakin directed Very Important Person, written by Jack Davies. Anakin would direct 2 more movies that Jack Davies wrote, Crooks Anonymous in 1962, which was also Julie Christie's film debut, and The Fast Lady, which was also in 1962.
Nice.
By 1963, Annakin and Davies had been working on an adventure film about transatlantic flights when the producer's bankruptcy aborted the production.
No.
Yeah. Anakin turned to Daryl Zanuck, producer of The Longest Day, proposing a movie about an event in the early days of aviation. Zanuck loved the idea and put up 100,000 pounds of his own money for the film.
I love that idea. Here's 100,000 pounds to get you started.
Yeah, to get started, because the budget was much higher than that. Zanuck decided on the name, Those Magnificent Men and Their Flying Machines, after Elmo Williams, managing director of 20th Century Fox in Europe, told him his wife, Lorraine Williams, had written an opening for a song that Anakin complained would
seal the fate of the movie.
The lyrics went...
Those magnificent men in their flying machines, they go up to the up and go down to the down. They go up, down, and all around those magnificent men in their flying machines.
That's literally all the lyrics.
Wow, it was a classic.
So casting, they cast Stuart Whitman as Orville Newton, who was named after, obviously, the Orville
Wright.
And Wilbur Wright. Yeah.
Yeah, in the very beginning, it's confusing because he's like, hey, Orville, and they're flyer guys, and it's kind of around the same time that they were around.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have been much older then.
Yeah, and weren't they in New Jersey or Pennsylvania, around that area?
Like that.
Yeah.
I'm glad we know our history.
It was Kitty Hawk, New Jersey. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was Kitty Hawk. Yeah. Thank you.
Dick Van Dyke was the producer's choice for the one American in the film, but Van Dyke's agents never bothered to show Dick the offer.
Bummer.
You know he would have said yes.
Yeah. He would have been great, too.
He would have been fantastic.
Although, I don't know a bunch about Stuart Whitman. I remember him. As soon as I saw his face, I was like, oh, that guy was on Magnum, or that guy was on Rockford.
He was in a ton of stuff,
He was on all sorts of TV in the 70s and 80s. But he was really good. He was so understated.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like a Tommy Lee Jones almost.
He was just always so calm and cool and collected and like...
likable.
Yeah, yeah.
And just seemed like a decent guy. And, when he punched the guy in the nose, he didn't punch him too hard.
No.
Just hard
he
enough.
was just ending the fight, that's all.
But he was charming.
He was very charming.
He had kind of a bit of a rough and tumble charm to him that, as much as I love Dick Van Dyke and I love him to death, I just don't think...
I don't know if he would have been able to pull off the same,
He wouldn't have been a cowboy, necessarily, more than like they would have had to make him more of like a traveling... stuntman or something, I don't know. It just... who knows? Dick Van Dyke could do anything.
That's true. That's true. He might have been amazing.
Except for a convincing English accent. But... He
didn't need that for this movie.
Mary Poppins. Is it Mary Poppins?
Mary Poppins.
But yeah, I really enjoyed Stuart Whitman in this movie. It's strange that he wasn't a bigger star.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he works constantly. Yeah. So like, he had his career, but like, he wasn't like a big name.
Right. You don't put him up there with like Paul Newman. And, and Paul Newman.
Paul Newman. Yeah. Whitman played bit parts in a bunch of 50s films, including...
When Worlds Collide, The Day the Earth Stood Still, Barbed Wire, and The Man from the Alamo.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a supporting actor through most of the 50s.
Totally remember him in The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Whitman scored his first lead in Johnny Trouble in 1957. In the late 1950s, 20th Century Fox was on a drive to develop new talent and signed Whitman to the star-building program.
Johnny Trouble...
Let's get that Johnny Trouble out here.
I think that guy's going to be trouble. Why? Because his name's Johnny Trouble.
His name is literally Johnny Trouble.
Give me a cigarette. I'm Johnny Trouble.
Whitman, now in the lead cast, acted in...
Darby's Rangers, China Doll, 10 North Frederick, The Decks Ran Red, Hound Dog Man, These Thousand Hills, The Story of Ruth, Murder Incorporated, The Comancheros, and The Mark.
The latter of which he was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor, but lost to Maximilian Schell for Judgment at Nuremberg.
That's
yeah, but he was nominated
respectable.
He was nominated for an Oscar.
Well, good for him.
That's great.
I've never been nominated.
No. You should. You're robbed.
He was several times.
Yeah. He would appear in The Longest Day in 1962. I think that was his biggest part up to that point.
He was great in that, too. I do remember him in that.
Yeah.
He's coming back to me.
For Those Magnificent Men, Whitman was paid $300,000, his largest paycheck of his career.
It's a lot.
It is a lot, especially back in 1962. Whitman's later career moved more into TV with credits including...
Have Gun Will Travel, The Streets of San Francisco, Love, American Style, Quincy M.E., The Hardy Boys Nancy Drew Mysteries, The Pirate, Condominium, Knight Rider, Matt Houston, A-Team, SWAT, Fantasy Island, Murder, She Wrote, Once Upon a Texas Train, Knots Landing, The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., and Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah, I mean, he was acting well into the 90s and early 2000s.
Yes, and I do, looking at his picture when he's older, I full-on remember him.
Yeah. From 88 to 92, he acted as Jonathan Kent on the TV series Superboy, which we've mentioned before.
Right.
He was seen in projects until 2000, after which he was reported to be retired. He died in 2020 from skin cancer at the age of 92.
Oh, my God,
That's
really?
awful, yeah.
92.
92. And then they were like, skin cancer.
Taking you down,
Yeah.
buddy. Oh, my God. You make it that long.
Yeah.
Can't there just be a rule where you get to die peacefully in your sleep? Anybody over 90 can just die peacefully in their sleep
Right.
when they want to.
I hope so. I mean, yeah, that would be nice.
Come on, people. Come on, science.
Sarah Miles was cast as Patricia Ronsley.
Oh, my God. I had
love interest. She's, oh, yeah.
such a crush on her when I was younger.
Oh, yeah. Miles, born in Essex, was most well known for The Servant in 1963, adapted by Harold Pinter. Blow Up in 1966, directed by Michelangelo Antonioni, who Miles referred to as
a rogue and a tyrant and a brilliant man.
Yeah, Blow Up is such a good movie.
And genius.
Genius movie, yeah.
Not to be confused with Blow Out,
No.
John Travolta, which is an okay movie.
Blow Up is a much better movie.
So much better.
Ryan's Daughter in 1970, directed by David Lean, which was savaged by critics, forcing Lean to step away from directing for a long period.
He deserved it.
Yeah. It's David Lean. He directed Lawrence of Arabia.
They were consequences back then, Adam.
I guess.
Serious consequences.
Despite the critical drubbing, the movie was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, winning for Best Supporting Actor and Best Cinematography.
Nice.
Miles would be nominated for Best Actress, but lost to Glenda Jackson for Women in Love.
Respectable. Glenda Jackson was ridiculous
really good,
in that movie.
She would marry Robert Bolt, the film's screenwriter. The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing, she appeared in 1973, starring Burt Reynolds.
That's a fun movie.
Have you seen it?
Of course.
Yeah.
I've saw everything Burt Reynolds has done. And he had this series of just weird movies, weird westerns and stuff. I think this was a western. And, I mean, they were just fun, goofy movies. If you like a young Burt Reynolds, they're always fun to watch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. During filming of this movie, aspiring screenwriter David Whiting, whom had been a former lover of Miles, was found dead in her hotel room.
Oh, my God.
She was acquitted of culpability in his death. Miles later commented,
"It went on for 6 months. Murder, suicide, murder, suicide, murder, suicide. And gradually the truth came out, which I'm not going to speak about. But it certainly wasn't me. I had actually saved the man from 3 suicide attempts, so why would I want to murder him? I really can't imagine."
This would lead to the end of her first marriage to Bolt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, honey, this whole murder-suicide thing's been going on for months. I just can't deal.
Yeah, yeah.
And what's he doing in your room anyway?
It's super weird. The fact that she's like, the truth came out, which I'm not going to talk about. So, was he murdered by somebody else?
Now, here's what I think happened, because I remember reading about this. What I think happened was he was still in love with her.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And he had depression issues and was an alcoholic for, most of his life. And I think he went into her room. I think he went into Sarah's room and killed himself there to,
as a statement.
See?
Yeah.
Which is how horrible.
Yeah, that's awful.
She seems very flippant about it, too, by the way.
Well, that's probably why he killed himself.
I couldn't sleep in my room.
Yeah.
I had to get another room, a smaller room. And I was just devastated because the room was so small.
She was also in White Mischief in 1987, starring Greta Scacchi, Charles Dance, and Joss Ackland. And she was also in Hope and Glory, also in 1987, written and directed by John Boorman.
Ooh. She was good.
Who did Zardoz.
Yes. Wasn't she also in Zardoz?
Her last role was in the Poirot TV series in 2004. She is now enjoying her retirement at the age of 84.
Nice. I'm glad to see that she's still around.
Yeah.
She was not only beautiful, but very talented and scrappy. She reminds me, I kept saying mostly in the eyes and kind of the attitude, but she reminded me a lot of Emily Blunt.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see
and
that.
they kind of had the same vibe.
Yeah.
But in this movie, she's just, like you said, she's just kind of this playful pseudo-feminist who just wants to fly. Not necessarily fly, but just ride in the plane.
Yeah. I mean, she just wants to get up there. Like, it looks cool, and she wants to do it. And and she holds her own. Sarah Miles holds her own with some really good actors in this movie.
Yes, and she has fun playing the boys against each other.
Oh, yeah.
But it's in a playful, not sinister way. You know, I think they're all kind of having fun.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it was back then. Two guys vied for a woman, and whoever won, she went with him because women second-class citizens.
Yeah. Well, she saved the convincing them to kill themselves for her real life.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm just kidding. Sarah Miles, please don't get mad.
Oh, she's listening.
James Fox was cast as Richard Mays. Michael Caine actually screen tested for the part, but lost it to Fox.
Michael Caine.
He would have been great in it.
Would have been great, but...
James Fox is great. I mean, don't get me wrong.
James Fox plays... This is going to sound kind of weird, but there's very few guys that can play upper crusty Englishmen and still be likable.
Yes, that's very true.
And
that is
have
very
a
true.
Human to them, because a lot of times the upper crust with the gloves and the sword and the servants, they come across so snooty, and and so above everything that it's hard to root for them. But Fox always had this inner charm. And that thing about him, very, some actors have, that you just root for him and you want to like him.
Yeah. He was had a very magnetic personality.
And such a great actor. So diverse. So great.
He first appeared on a film as 11-year-old Toby Miniver in The Miniver Story in 1950. His early screen appearances, both in film and television, were made under his birth name, William Fox.
Okay.
Little Billy Fox.
Oh, Billy Fox.
He appeared in the film The Loneliness of the Long-Distance Runner in 1962. Fox's father purportedly attempted to forbid this, fearing his son would lose his job in the bank where he was working. But nevertheless, Fox took the part.
I forbid it. I forbid you. You'll lose your job at the bank. That is an actual job. This flights of fancy that you're on with your make-believe and your diggly-doos, that's not happening in this house, Mr. Fox.
It sounds like his father is the exact opposite of James Fox. And is the insufferable Englishman that is just, no, you got to go work at the bank for the rest of your life.
Yes, well, they didn't like diddly-doos.
No, they didn't.
They were against that.
They definitely did diddly not do it. Yeah. In 1964, Fox won a BAFTA award for Most Promising Newcomer to Leading Film Roles for The Servant in 1963, working alongside Dirk Bogarde, Sarah Miles, and Wendy Craig.
That's a great movie. Really.
I've never seen it, The Servant. I'll check it out. After shooting the film Performance in 1968, written and directed by Donald Cammell and Nicholas Roeg, co-starring Mick Jagger, Fox decided to take a break from acting.
Wow.
Have you seen this movie?
Yes.
I went down a weird rabbit hole with this movie because it fascinates me.
Oh, it is a weird movie.
The film was deemed so outrageous at the time that critics at a preview screening walked out with one film executive's wife reportedly throwing up in the cinema. Yeah. Warner Brothers wouldn't release the film until 1970. They were just trying to figure out what to do with it.
Weird. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a little quaint now.
I know.
For the time, it was shocking.
It was very shocking. Yeah. So while he was on his break from acting, James Fox became an evangelical Christian, working with the Navigators and devoting himself to the ministry.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. During this time, the only film in which Fox appeared was No Longer Alone in 1976, the story of Joan Windmill Brown, a suicidal woman who was led to faith in Jesus Christ by Ruth Bell Graham.
Okay.
Yep.
You know who Ruth Bell Graham is, don't you?
The name sounds kind of familiar.
Billy Graham's wife.
Oh, was it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
Sounds like it. They're evangelicals.
I thought maybe it was the wife of Alexander Graham Bell. She just changed her name around.
She got divorced and dropped the bell.
He returned to acting in the early 80s, appearing in Runners, A Passage to India, Comrades, and Farewell to the King.
Yeah. It was great to see him back.
Yeah. He's great. He's a great actor. In the 90s, he appeared in Patriot Games and The Remains of the Day.
He was really good in Patriot Games.
Both very good. Since 2000, he appeared in Sexy Beast and Sherlock Holmes, the 2009 one with Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
And Sexy Beast is such a good movie.
Amazing.
Such a good movie. His son-in-law is actually Richard Ayoade from the IT crowd. The IT crowd.
Nice.
Yeah. Apparently they're really close. They're really good friends.
I want to see that show. Let's see a show of those two hanging out.
I wouldn't be surprised because Richard Ayoade did that travel show. I wouldn't be shocked if James Fox was on it.
Oh, I'll have to look.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I'll have to look.
Yeah.
His Iowade, his new show, Crepopolis. It's, I think, in the second season.
Yeah.
Very fun.
The animated show? Yeah. His last credited role is from 2018 with the British Christmas comedy Surviving Christmas with the Relatives. It was not well received. He's still around at the age of 85, kind of acting, kind of not. I don't think he's technically retired, but he's 85.
He was a really interesting actor, and I don't think a lot of people remember him as much as they should. Yeah. But he's always a guy who was very solid and without exception, gave a great performance.
Oh, always. He was so good in this movie.
Yeah. So likable.
Because I wanted to not like him, but I had to.
Because it was an English movie. They're not going to have the American come in and be...
No.
But I will give them this. They did let the American come in and be charming. Mm-hmm. They did, have the British American, bits, but it was more making fun of the Brits than the Americans.
Right.
And
he proved at the end that, he helped save the Italian guy. That's what I love about this movie, is that it appears like it's, all the stereotypes, but then it's not.
Well, they see Americans as big, dumb dudes who do the right thing.
Whatever. Hey, man.
And that's basically what we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, you're right. You didn't want to like him. You kind of set it up as, he's not going to take her flying, and he doesn't love Sarah Miles, and it's just the father and him plotting whatever. It's not that at all. He does love Sarah.
Oh, he totally does, yeah.
He's just lived there and knows the father and knows what the repercussions would be.
He can't go against the dad.
Of course not. And let's be honest, Sarah Miles was not the most forthright when she was talking to Orville about going up.
Yeah, she definitely was kind of playing him against, because she wanted to go fly.
And he is okay, well, I don't see the problem.
Yeah, he was like, all right, well, why not?
Because he wasn't privy to all of the,
right.
Backdoor shenanigans. But, so, he takes her up thinking it's fine, and then he gets effed because she totally used him, and then he gets kicked out of the race. But she does feel bad about it, she does fix it. And that's the thing, is... They've all got their picadillos.
Yeah.
But they're decent people.
There's not... The only really bad guy in the movie is Terry Thomas.
Yes.
They cast Alberto Sordi as Count Emilio Ponticelli.
Alberto Sordi.
Sordi is considered one of the most important actors in the history of Italian cinema and one of the best in commedia all'italiana.
He looks like the Italian version of Carl Reiner.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
He really does. He actually started as a voice actor and a theater actor, but eventually grew to fame as a comedian.
What a voice.
Oh, yeah. In the 1960s, he started interpreting complex dramatic characters as well as directing his own films. His credits as a director included 19 movies.
Oh, wow.
He appeared in dozens of movies along with dubbing hundreds of Hollywood films for the Italian cinema. I would list them, but they're almost all Italian, and I'm completely unfamiliar with all of them. It's just a lot of... He was essentially the most important person in Italy as a film actor.
He was kind of like, what? He's like the Clint Eastwood of...
Yeah. Like he was like Clint Eastwood and John Wayne and Gregory Peck all wrapped into one.
Wow.
Like he was huge in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In 2001, Sordi was diagnosed with lung cancer.
Oh, man.
Yeah, which sucks. He died of pneumonia and bronchitis at his villa in Rome on February 25th, 2003. A crowd in excess of 1 million people gathered to pay their last respects at his funeral by the Basilica of St. John Lateran.
That is incredible.
1 million people.
He was the guy, man.
He was.
Do you know how old he was?
I want to say, I think he was in his 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. He was, he lived a long life, but...
He was so good in this, and he was fairly restrained. There wasn't a lot of
physical comedy with this,
but no. The comedy between him and his wife and the kids...
Oh, and his wife constantly wanting him to stop flying.
You got to stop flying. I'm not going to stop flying. You got to stop flying.
For the bambinos.
But he just, again, all of these dudes seemed like they were having such a fun time making this movie.
Yeah.
And they were all very congenial with each other, the characters.
Yeah.
And they drank together. They got along together. It was a friendly competition with everybody except for one.
Right.
But yeah, he was so charming and so funny.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like a lot of these guys, that you're going to go through, you were introduced to them through this movie.
Yeah.
For Western audiences.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. Robert Morley was cast as Lord Ronsley. He was the big jello-faced man. Very, very similar.
Looks exactly like him.
It's weird.
I think George
I'm
Lucas
sure he
modeled it
probably
after
did. I wouldn't be surprised.
William Morley.
Morley was usually cast as an English pompous windbag representing the establishment.
Recognizable by his ungainly bulk, bushy eyebrows, thick lips, and double chin.
Yeah, I mean, he was a pompous windbag.
Yes.
I'm sure he was a very nice guy.
Sure.
But I just can't. I just always think of him in Oh Heavenly Dog eating constantly and
yes.
shaking.
You've got to get that article out. Pass me the marmalade.
In 1939, he received an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor for his portrayal of King Louis XVI in Marie Antoinette.
Nice.
Morley was the face of British Airways as the merry television commercial spokesman of the 1970s with...
We'll take good care of you.
For British Airways.
Nice.
Yeah. We discussed him earlier this year for his role in 1980's Oh Heavenly Dog. He also appeared in The Great Muppet Caper in 1981.
He was just great. And he's also one of those guys that, because of the way he looked, he was perfect for comedy.
Oh, yeah.
And he leaned into it. And he had a very strong presence, which made him really good at playing authoritarians or the upper crust, or the noble tree. But from everything that I've heard of him, where you said Oh Heavenly Dog, that show, he was just a sweetheart.
He's just a nice guy.
Yeah,
he's a sweet guy. Yeah. He died in Reading, England from a stroke at the age of 84 on June 3rd, 1992.
That's a good... This is going to sound horrible,
but
that's a pretty good run for somebody who looked like they didn't take care of themselves that well.
Yeah, looked like he should have died 30 years before that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, somebody like their foie gras.
Gert Frobe as Colonel Manfred von Holstein.
Gert Frobe!
Frobe was a German actor who received 3 nominations for the Lola, the German Film Award.
Oh, wow.
Their equivalent of the Oscar.
Nice. I like that it's a lady.
It's a Lola, yeah. He was well known for his work as the title character in the James Bond film Goldfinger in 1964.
Now, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
As Baron Bombburst, the villain in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in 1968.
Now, Mr. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, I expect you to die.
And as General Dietrich von Choltitz.
What?
Dietrich von Choltitz in the epic war film Is Paris Burning in 1966.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is one of my favorite films.
I haven't seen it in so long.
Oh my God, that's Dick Van Dyke again.
Yeah,
with a flying car. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is the car.
Yeah.
It is one of it goes along with all of these movies.
Yeah,
it's one of those fantastical, weird.
Yeah.
Dick Van Dyke things that just kind of came out and everybody fell in love with and loved.
Right.
We're definitely doing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah. He joined the Nazi Party in 1929 at the age of 16, but left in 1937 before the outbreak of the Second World War.
Okay, good. Way to get out just in the nick of time,
Gert. Here's the thing. After his party membership became known after the war, Israel banned his films until Mario Blumenau, a Jewish survivor, revealed just 8 weeks later that his life and his mother's were probably saved when Frobe hid them from the Nazis in his basement.
Yes!
Yeah.
Makes me love him even more.
Look, he was young. He was 16 when he joined the Nazi Party. And then by the age of 24, he was like, yeah, you guys are... No. This is too much. No. Frobe died in Munich in September 1988 at the age of 75 from a heart attack.
He stole this movie, as we said before. Poor audience.
Both of us were so shocked when he started doing it because I thought it was the soundtrack, and it's like, no, you can see his mouth moving.
I can't figure out how to do it. I can't. But it was a revelation to me. I remember this movie. I didn't remember Gert being in it necessarily. I didn't put 2 and 2 together and James Bond and this guy and the guy from, countless other very dramatic performances.
Such range.
That not only with but the marching, the physical comedy, running away from the plane, and then when he had to fly the plane.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, the whole duel up in the balloon.
Yes.
It was his comedy timing was perfect.
And the Colonel Manfred was such a likable character.
Yeah.
He was not. That's what I like. They took the things about certain cultures, like Germany's meticulousness and their reading of manuals and
by the book.
Yes, their fastidiousness, they took the stuff that is funny about them, but isn't hurtful. They didn't make him a screaming guy, that blah, 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 blah.
They were just precision. And,
and they wanted to win. They had never done it before. And they were like, German can do anything. Germany can win anything. And it was just such... in a movie with so many funny people, internationally renowned actors and great comic actors, for him to stand out and steal the movie is a feat beyond feat. It'd be like somebody coming out and stealing Mad Mad World,
Right.
Who could do that?
Yeah. He was so good. He's so
Amazing.
good. And I definitely have to check out other movies he's been in.
Oh, I'm making a list, man. Yeah. I am making a list because this is it's the craziest talent crush I've had in a while. So it's a reverse talent crush. I've known him. I had a crush on him as a Bond villain, but not like a talent crush. But now after seeing this, I want to see everything that he's done.
Yeah. Jean-Pierre Cassel was cast as Pierre Dubois, the French Lothario. A popular star of French cinema, he was initially known for his comedy film appearances, though he also proved a gifted dramatic actor and accrued over 200 film and television credits in a career spanning over 50 years.
Yeah, he was incredible, man.
Yeah.
Incredible. And so, talk about likable.
Oh, yeah.
Those eyes. He had the kindest, most inviting eyes.
Just one tiny little smile from him, and you just melt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, my underpants just flew off my body.
They did. It was crazy.
Right in the face. You were disgusted. But yeah, I mean, again, could have just had him being the French Lothario with a beret and pinching everybody's butt. But
he was respectful. And
he slaps a few butts, but
because he thought that it was the woman that he had already been with.
But he's charming and likable, and the thing is you root for everybody, almost everybody except for Terry. But you root for, but so great, But you root for everybody in this movie, and everybody has kind of a moment. And even though he didn't win the race, he won the lady.
He did.
He got what he really wanted.
Yeah. Which was some woman he didn't remember, but he got her, and she was happy. Yeah.
But what a great actor, and so strange who his son is.
Yeah. He was known for he was well known for the discreet charm of the bourgeoisie in 1972. He was known for his role as Louis XIII of France in The Three Musketeers in 1973, and its sequel, The Four Musketeers, in 1974.
Oh my God, I totally remember him from that.
So good.
I love the book Three Musketeers. It's one of my favorite adventure books of all time. 100% still holds up today. I just read it a couple years ago.
Yeah.
If you haven't read it, read it.
Yeah.
But they've done so many adaptations of this of the book.
Yeah.
But to me, the 70s version with Oliver Reed and Michael York and all these guys, it is the most fun. It captures that feeling of fun in the book more so than any. And the newer adaptations are just like slick, trying to be John Wick, in Musketeer times. But these movies, God damn, I love these movies so much.
They really captured the spirit.
Oh yeah. He
was also cast as Pierre in Murder on the Orient Express in 1974.
Yes.
Yeah, he's so good. Such a great movie.
He's one of those guys too that you don't necessarily remember because he just disappears into the part.
Yeah.
He's an actor, not a movie star.
Right. In later years, he appeared in Robert Altman's Pret-a-Porter in 1994. He is the father of Vincent Cassel, the actor who has been in a ton of stuff, is married to Monica Bellucci.
Yeah, he was in, you probably remember him most from the Oceans movie.
Yes.
As the French thief.
Yeah.
Who did all those crazy, break dance, dance and get moves to get away from the censors.
Right. He's also the father of Matthias Cassel, also known as Rockin' Squat, leader of the French rap crew Assassin.
Yeah, baby.
Rockin' Squat. Jean-Pierre would pass away on April 19th, 2007, from cancer at the age of 74.
Too young.
Yeah, way too young. Irina Demick was cast as Bridget, Ingrid, Marlene, Francois, Yvette, and Betty.
She was so good.
Demick moved to Paris and became a model. She was born in the French countryside. She made an appearance in the French film Julie Larousse in 1959 and met producer Daryl F. Zanuck and became his lover.
I can see she's gorgeous.
Absolutely gorgeous. Zanuck had a long history of trying to turn his European mistresses into film stars.
Okay, well, makes sense.
He had previously done this with Bella Darby and Juliet Greco, and would later do this with Genevieve Giles.
Oh, what a scumbag.
Yeah.
Well, at least they got something out of it.
I mean, yeah. Zanuck cast Demick in his epic production The Longest Day as a French resistance fighter.
Right, I remember her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In a recurring gag suggested by Zanuck, Demick plays a series of flirts who are all pursued by the French pilot. First, she's Brigitte, who is French, then Ingrid, who's Swedish, Marlene, who is German, Francois, who is Belgian, Yvette, who is Bulgarian, and finally Betty, who is British.
And she did the accents great.
She did great accents the entire time.
She was just a breath of fresh air. She was so fun, so game, you know. She just seemed like she was having a blast.
So much fun, yeah.
And, I hope that she got away from Zanuck quickly and found somebody better.
She did. She actually, in 1964, got married to Philippe Wall, a Swiss entrepreneur. After making a few more films, including Prudence and the Pill in 1968, and The Sicilian Clan in 1969, and 2 Italian horror movies in 1972, Demick's career faded and came to a standstill. She stopped acting.
Okay. Well, she's got this, which is, again, almost steals the show, which is a difficult thing to do in such a big cast of characters.
After her divorce in 1979 from Philippe Wall, she moved to the U.S., and sadly, she died in Indianapolis, Indiana, of breast cancer in October of 2004 at the age of 67.
God damn, that is so young.
I'm just sad that she stopped acting.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, granted, she probably wasn't getting parts.
Or she just had a family and wanted to get away from it. Yeah. You know, it's a lot of times it's their choice. It's not always the fact that...
That's true.
A lot of times they walk away from the business.
Yeah.
It's not giving them what they want, and they do something else.
Yeah. Red Skelton was cast as Neanderthal Man, Roman Birdman, Middle Ages inventor, Victorian-era pilot, rocket pack inventor, and the modern airline passenger, who flaps his arms at the end of the movie.
Red Skelton, rubber-faced Red Skelton.
He's so good.
Is such a great comedian.
Yeah.
He is so funny. And, again, a guy that everything about him is funny.
Yeah, he can't help but be funny.
It is in his DNA. Yeah. It's in his body. It's in his face. It's in his voice. And it's funny because I'm like, it is him. He's all these people.
Yeah,
he doesn't look like
it took a while. Yeah.
But each one a very distinct character.
So funny. He dies so many times in the beginning of the movie.
Oh my god! And a lot of those crashes were real.
Yeah.
And I think real people died.
Yeah.
There
is some messed up old footage of people trying to fly.
And what the flying machines that had like the umbrella top and just bounced up and down. What physics is that, people? What kind of idiot was like, it
didn't work, Jim.
It's going to bounce to the moon.
It's just going to cause you to barf.
Jesus. It was just crazy. It really was fun, though, and fascinating.
Yeah.
Watching the early attempts at flight and all of these crazy contraptions. And that was what was really fun about the movie too, is there was that one kind of smarmy plane salesman who kept coming out with these brand new
broken foot.
Right. Yeah. He kept coming out with these new plane designs and they all just didn't work.
Did not work, yeah.
But that was what was so cool, is they were still trying to figure out the best, machine to fly. There was no like, we have these these Spitfires.
Right.
We have this, we have that. It was all these different handmade, homemade, spit and gum. A lot
of trial and error.
Oh my god! The fact that they kept breaking and they'd have to walk on the wing. Oh my god, it was insane.
So Red Skelton is an American entertainer best known for his national radio and television shows between 1937 and 1971, especially as host of the television program The Red Skelton Show.
It was a weird coincidence that he was the host of that show.
I know. It's a good thing they found him.
We need a guy named Red Skelton.
Oh, okay. Hey, I got this guy.
Not Red Skeleton.
No.
Skelton.
Too bad for Red Skeleton.
I know. He was really funny, too.
Yeah. Skelton made his film debut in 1938 alongside Ginger Rogers and Douglas Fairbanks Jr. in Alfred Santel's Having a Wonderful Time, and would appear in numerous musical and comedy films throughout the 40s and 50s, with starring roles in 19 films, including Ship Ahoy in 1941, I Doed It in 1943.
It's a pretty funny film.
Yeah. Ziegfeld Follies in 1946, and The Clown in 1953.
The Clown is probably what he is most known for.
Yeah.
And you know what's really funny and kind of creepy? So you know all those pictures of sad clowns?
Yeah.
Those are based off of him.
Yeah. Well, he actually started painting clowns.
Yeah.
He did it as a hobby. He constantly liked to create, but his paintings and clowns remained a hobby until 1964, when his wife Georgia persuaded him to show them at the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas while he was performing there.
Look at my paintings.
Sales of the original were so successful, and he also sold prints and lithographs, earning $2.5 million yearly on lithograph sales.
Yeah, it was weird, man.
At the time of his death, his art dealer said he thought that Skelton had earned more money through his paintings than from his television performances.
Probably.
It's crazy. Skelton believed that his life's work was to make people laugh. He wanted to be known as a clown because he defined it as being able to do everything.
Well, he did. And that's the thing. Back then, you had to do everything. But he was a dance man, a song man, a comedian. He could do it all.
Yeah.
And again, guy coming from vaudeville.
Yeah.
Has those bona fides, and just one of the greatest performers ever. And again, a guy that gets lost in the shuffle, when we talk about these guys.
He's not as remembered now, which is sad.
Yeah, but I remember him popping up. He'd be on the Muppets, he'd be on this, he'd be on that. He always showed up, and he was always either extremely sweet,
right,
the sweetest guy in the world, or just extremely funny, or both.
Both, yeah, usually both.
Great man.
Yeah, he had a 70-year-long career as a performer and entertained 3 generations of Americans. Those Magnificent Men was actually his last feature film.
Really?
He just didn't act in movies after that.
Oh, just did TV?
Yeah. He was in England shooting a season of the Red Skelton Show, hence his appearance in the film. He eventually he went back to TV, and I mean, technically he never really ended doing TV.
Right.
He still did it for quite a while.
That was his bread and butter.
Yeah. Skelton died on September 17th, 1997 at the age of 84 from pneumonia. Yeah.
God, so many people dying from pneumonia.
I know. Sucks. It's not fun, man.
Wear a scarf, people.
Yeah. Bundle up.
It's not how it works.
Terry Thomas was cast as Sir Percy Ware Armitage.
Oh, yes, Terry Thomas.
He was the stereotypical English gentleman who was a cad and a toff and a tosser and all that stuff.
Yes, I was the consummate bad guy because I had a giant space between my teeth.
He's got that huge. He also appeared in It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. We talked about him a lot in that episode, so give that episode a listen for more on Terry Thomas and how sad the end of his life was.
We're not going to go into his sad ending. We're just going to talk about his happy middle.
Listen to last week's episode, and Terry Thomas was such a good actor.
Terry Thomas was such a good villain because part of you rooted for him.
Yeah.
Part of you liked him because he's, again, very charming and just so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
And he ate every bite of the roles of villainy. And he did it in a way that had subtlety and charm and so many different little nuances that most villainy characters don't have. He always popped a little something in there to make you be like, I kind of want him to win, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He was definitely more villainous in this than he was in Mad World.
Well, Mad World, I think he was a victim of circumstance.
Yeah.
Got thrown into this weird situation and just went with it. I don't think he was a bad guy at all.
Yeah.
I just think that he, like everybody else in that story, the worst of them came out because of the situation. Right. But he did the worst in the situation that he could.
Very bad in this movie.
Because he cheated. He wanted to get rid of. He was just a jerk, and his poor manservant, who he would whip in the butt.
He would hit him so many times.
My favorite part is after Orville gets on his plane and he crashes. Does the thing accidentally.
Right.
And he's going to give him a thrashing. And he says to his manservant, he is smaller than me, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
He's
a coward. A coward and a cad. But just
so good. He's so good. Between these two movies, another talent crush that I want to watch more stuff with Terry Thomas in it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, a guy that's larger than life. A man who, it's not just because of his gap tooth and his looks, but his eyes, everything about him is just... It glows. I don't know how to explain it. There's just an exuberance and an energy to his performances that whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, you were drawn to him.
Yes, completely. Eric Sykes was cast as Courtney, Sir Percy's manservant.
Yeah.
Sykes was most well known for his 3 TV shows in England, Sykes and A from 1960 to 1965. It was literally the show. It was a sitcom, but it would just every episode title would end with and a horse or Sykes and a farm, or whatever.
Whatever he was doing that week.
His other shows were Sykes and a Big Big Show in 1971, and then Sykes from 1972 to 1979.
I like how it just kept getting smaller and smaller. And then pretty much it was just sigh.
It's just... later in his career, he appeared in some high-profile projects, like The Others in 2001 as Mr. Edmund Tuttle.
Oh, that was great.
Such a good, yeah.
He was so good with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a very good movie.
Such a great movie. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire in 2005 as Frank Bryce.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, he was murdered by Voldemort. He was the Riddle family's butler.
Oh, no.
And he overheard Voldemort plotting to murder Harry Potter, and so he killed him.
I didn't hear anything.
Pretty sure it was at the very, very beginning of the movie. And then he was in Son of Rambo in 2007 as Frank. Do you remember Son of Rambo, the movie about the little kid that's obsessed with
that
First
movie
Blood?
was great.
Such a good movie.
Yeah. Oh, my God, that movie was great. That kid was amazing.
Kid was so good, yeah. Sadly, Sykes died on the morning of July 4th, 2012, at the age of 89 at his home in Esher, Surrey, after a short illness.
I just love that he was almost working till the end. I think that's great.
Yeah, he worked for a long, long time.
It seems like the people that continue to work live the longest.
Yeah.
You know, guys like Milton Berle or George Burns or Bob Hope or these guys. It's like the guys that...
Just keep that mind going, and you stay alive longer.
I also love those guys that are like, yeah, you just got to keep working until you die. I mean, you do what you love. And it's like, buddy, I work in a factory, okay? I do not love it.
Benny Hill was cast as Fire Chief Perkins. He is remembered for his television program, The Benny Hill Show, an amalgam of slapstick, burlesque, and double entendre in a format that included live comedy and film segments with Hill at the focus of almost every segment. I did not know that show ran from 1955 to 1989.
Oh my God, yes.
I did not know that show ran for almost 35 years.
Oh, the 80s ones were bad. But, they were so bad.
He was also getting very old and tired.
But I loved the Benny Hill Show.
Yeah.
And not just because you got to see boobies sometimes. You came for the boobies, you stayed for the comedy. But it was like watching silent movies. Him and that tiny little bald guy that he'd slap his head around and run around in the fast motion. It was perfect for kids, even though it was not made for kids. But it was this funny, silly, harmless body humor that there was a reason why it ran for 40 years. Because it was just a great escape. And he, even though he was a lecherous pervert character, again, there was something devilish and likable about him that you would let him get away with it. And the characters he played, the non, the actual sketches and stuff. Oh my God, such range!
He's great.
Playing Germans, playing just an absolute comic genius. That again, I think I'd put him in the old mix of goo that made me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For better or worse, who I am. But yeah, I loved the Benny Hill Show.
So you're just saying you're full of Benny Hill goo?
I am. Gallons.
His show was among the most watched programs in the UK, and his audience was more than 21 million in 1971.
It was pure fun escapism. Yeah. That's why people are just like, life sucks. Let's watch Benny Hill and escape for 15, 20 minutes.
Hill would also appear in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in 1968 and The Italian Job in 1969.
He always popped up in stuff. It was more cameo stuff than actual. Yeah. This is like one of the biggest roles he had.
Yeah, I was surprised because I was expecting it to be a cameo, and he was in it quite a bit.
And so funny.
Yeah, so funny.
So funny.
Hill was noted for his frugality. He never owned his own home in London and preferred to rent a flat rather than buy one. He lived in the same flat for like 26 years before he ended up moving.
He liked it.
Yeah. Despite being a millionaire, he continued with the frugal habits he picked up from his parents, such as buying cheap food at supermarkets, walking for miles rather than paying for a taxi, unless someone picked up the tab for a limousine, and regularly patching and mending his clothes.
He grew up during World War II, man. Yeah, I mean, that's how you... It's the same way as our parents or grandparents coming out of the Depression and the way that affected them for the rest of their lives.
Oh, that's what my grandmother, who was literally turned 13 in 1939 in Germany, was super frugal.
Yeah.
Because she was just like, we have to make sure everybody eats.
Yeah.
Like, we have to.
And there was that uncertainty. You never know. There could be plunged into another war, and you have to make sure that you're... Yeah, there was so much... psychological damage that was done
so much
because of the first two world wars onto a generation of people that also didn't believe in therapy or talking about their problems. So there we go.
Yay! He also
and you wonder why the boomers are so messed up because their parents
He also never owned a car, despite having a valid driving license. Hill's health declined in the mid to late 80s after Hill had a mild heart attack February 24th, 1992. Doctors recommended a heart bypass, but he refused. A week later, he was found to have kidney failure, but he refused to undergo kidney dialysis.
What's your deal, Benny?
He didn't trust doctors, apparently. He died at his flat on April 18th, 1982, at the age of 68, but his body was not found until April 20th. He died while watching television in his armchair.
That's how I want to go.
He was also never married, and there was a lot of rumors that he was gay, but he always denied that. He just had no interest. And
he was a consummate bachelor.
Yeah.
And look, as a guy who's a consummate bachelor, that's how it is sometimes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really, at the end of the day, His life was his work.
Yeah.
And I think that's really it.
You know, the funniest people in the world are usually the saddest people, too, deep down. You know, there's a lot of pain that goes into really good comedy, which is so sad to me. But, you know, who knows what his life was like. And that's the great thing about him. Nobody did, because he didn't care to let people know about his private life.
Right.
He wanted it all to be on screen.
Yeah.
I remember the day he died, and that was a big one, man. It was like Belushi or Candy or Farley. It was one of my comic heroes. Or, you know, I guess the closest would probably be from Mad World. Jonathan. The closest would probably be Jonathan Winters.
Yeah.
You know, he was like very different comedians, but he was the English Jonathan Winters to me. You know, I loved him so much.
Yeah.
I just was so devastated when he died.
Yeah. Yujiro Ishihara was cast as Yamamoto, the Japanese entrant.
Yeah.
Ishihara was beloved by many fans as a representative youth star in the films of post-war Japan and subsequently as a macho movie hero.
Yeah.
He was also a singer and was called the Japanese Elvis Presley.
Nice.
Unfortunately, due to his thick accent, his voice was dubbed by James Villiers, another British actor. Which is obviously not him talking in the movie.
Oh, yes, because he's like this.
He pronounces things very... yeah.
Can you see my brain? It's very good.
But Ishihara was huge in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Like, not quite as big as, like, Sordi in Italy, but he was huge in Japan.
Well, that's the deal, is they got the biggest stars of their respective places to come for this international cast, which was brilliant.
I got to be honest, I was a little sad that they didn't feature him more in this movie. He was only in a few scenes.
Yeah.
And, like, I kind of wanted to see more of him.
You know what's funny? This is really stupid, but when I was really little, I didn't realize that there were different languages. I thought there were just accents.
Right.
Because, you know, so German talk like this, but he still spoke English.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Englishman talk like this. And the French, he talk like that. So I just figured there were different accents, except for the Japanese. Because the Japanese, they always use Japanese.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Never,
They rarely use
you
know.
Like an English with Japanese
yes.
accent. Yeah.
So I was like, that's weird. I was really young.
There's only English and Japanese in the world. And
I was like 30.
This was 3 weeks ago. So he survived oral cancer of the tongue in 1978.
Jesus.
Sounds awful.
Good God.
And a 1981 aortic aneurysm. He lived through that. However, he was later diagnosed with liver cancer and died at Keio University Hospital in 1971 on July 17th. At the age of 52.
Insane. I hate hearing about people with these lifelong struggles. And it's not, they go from one horrible thing, get over that, to another horrible thing, to another horrible thing. It's just disgusting and unfair. It's so sad.
Awful. His early death from liver cancer was a major public event in Japan. On the anniversary of his death, every year, his mourning ceremony is often rebroadcast on television.
Oh, wow.
Still, to this day, they still, like, he's a huge star.
That's insane. I mean, again, one of the biggest actors of, you know.
At the time,
and they treated him pretty well in terms of stereotyping.
They may have said a word that we don't say anymore once in a while, but for the most part, yes, he was treated respectfully. Michael Trubshaw was cast as Niven, Lord Ronsley's aide. He ran the newspaper and the contest at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love that guy too.
He's great. Trubshaw was very close friends with fellow British actor David Niven, serving with him in the British Army.
That would have been fun to be in their regiment.
Oh, yeah. He was the best man for both of Niven's weddings and is constantly referred to in Niven's memoirs, The Moon's a Balloon. Niven refers to finding out he would be working with him in The Guns of Navarone in 1961 as
a lovely bonus for me.
Trubshaw appeared in The Pink Panther in 1963, A Hard Day's Night in 1964, and Bedazzled in 1967.
That's where I remember him from, is The Pink Panther and Hard Day's Night.
Yeah.
It's he's just got that face. He's got a very open and expressive face.
Yeah.
And he's a very subtle guy, but every scene he's in, he stands out.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, he's just one of those guys. They cast this movie so well.
They did. David Niven would call uncredited characters in his movies Trubshaw, so Trubshaw called his character Niven in this film. It's kind of a respectful thank you for always using his name.
Well, yeah, his buddy. He's just paying tribute to his bud.
Yeah. He died March 21st, 1985 at the age of 79. Yeah. So, although a comedy, elements of Annakin's documentary background were evident with authentic sets, props, and costumes. More than 2,000 extras and authentic costumes were in the climactic race launch, which was combined with entrance in the London to Brighton veteran car run, being invited on set as part of their 1964 annual run, an unexpected coup in gaining numerous period vehicles to dress the set.
Nice.
A troublesome on-set distraction unfortunately occurred between the two lead actors, Stuart Whitman and Sarah Miles, who fell out early in the production.
I can imagine what happened.
Director Ken Annakin commented that it began with an ill-timed pass by Whitman. Whitman was married at the time, although he would divorce in 1966. This caused Sarah Miles to
hate his guts
and rarely deigned to speak to him afterward unless the interaction was required by the script.
Come on, baby. It's not much of a marriage. Come on. I'm an American.
They have so many scenes together. I cannot imagine how uncomfortable that was.
But sometimes that works because it gives them a good chemistry.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't know any of that going on behind the scenes in this movie.
Because they're actors.
Yeah. They're very good actors, yeah.
Very good.
Annakin employed a variety of manipulations to ensure the production still proceeded smoothly. The stars actually made peace with each other after on-set filming concluded. Their interactions were civil during final retakes of scenes and voiceovers.
All right, good.
Yeah. The film used period-accurate, life-size working airplane models and replicas to create an early 20th century airfield, the Brookley Motor Racing Track, fashioned after Brooklands, where early automotive racing and aviators shared the facilities for testing.
It was weird that at this facility they had a giant pool of poo.
Yeah, that everybody got into at one point or another.
We need a pool of poo. That's what this movie needs.
All Brookley's associated trappings with structures, aircraft, and vehicles, including a rare 1907 Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost, subsequently estimated to be worth $50 million, were part of the exterior set at Booker Airfield, High Wycombe, Buckinghamshire, England.
$50 million at the time? Or now?
Now. I think it's now.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, well, to be honest, I think it might have been during the filming. I don't think they realized what they had.
Good Lord.
It was an extremely rare car. If I remember right, I think there's only like 4 or 5 of them still left.
Ugh, who'd spend $50 million on a car?
Jay Leno.
Yeah.
Each of the 20 aeroplanes created cost £5,000. When the production was unable to obtain film rights to film main sequences over Paris, models of the aircraft and a miniature Parisian set played a prominent role in sequences depicting Paris. A mock-up of Calais was also constructed. The intro and closing animations were done by Ronald Searle, a well-known British military characterist and satirist.
Yeah, I thought it was the same cats that did Pink Panther, but I was wrong.
No, it was not. Yeah. Ron Goodwin wrote the score for the film and composed the music for the lyrics to the song. The song would be released as a single. Despite the reliance on flying stunts and their inherent danger, the one near tragedy occurred on the ground when a stunt went wrong. Stuntman Ken Buckle inadvertently turned the throttle to full on a runaway motorbike and sidecar, launching himself through the retaining wall on the sloped Brookley racing track and crashing into the adjoining cesspool off camera.
Good Lord.
Thinking quickly, the special effects man on the other side of the wall saw the motorbike hurtling towards him and set off the accompanying explosion, creating a realistic waterspout.
Okay.
They used it in the movie.
I bet they did.
Lucky to escape with only facial bruises and a dislocated collarbone as he struggled to his feet, Buckle apologized for having messed up, but the shot
was in the can.
Yeah. The 10,000-pound prize in 1910 would be worth over $150,000 in 1965, the year of the movie release, and almost $1.6 million in 2024.
Money.
Money. These Magnificent Men and Their Flying Machines had its royal world premiere on June 3rd, 1965 at the Astoria Theatre in the West End of London in the presence of Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Who was probably around in 1910 when all the planes were being made.
This is not at all what it was like flying back then. There was a lot more blood and body parts, a lot of viscera.
Contemporary reviews judged those Magnificent Men and Their Flying Machines as
good fun.
In the New York Times, Bosley Crowther called it
a funny picture, highly colorful, and it does move.
Variety felt similarly.
As fanciful and nostalgic a piece of clever picture-making as has hit the screen in recent years, this backward look into the pioneer days of aviation, when most planes were built with spit and baling wire, is a warming entertainment experience.
At over 2 hours, those Magnificent Men and Their Flying Machines was treated as a major production, one of 3 full-length 70mm Todd A.O. Fox releases in 1965, with an intermission and musical interlude part of the original screenings.
You know, I am warming to intermissions. I like that.
I agree.
I think they need to bring that back.
I think they need, especially with some of these longer movies, man.
Hey, man, it was great because it gave you a chance to go to the bathroom and check your phone or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was the actual length of the intermission.
Yeah. It
Very
was
funny.
Long.
Yeah.
It went for quite a while. The film was initially an exclusive roadshow presentation where customers needed reserved seats purchased ahead of time.
Oh.
It was an immediate box office success, outgrossing the similar car race comedy The Great Race, which came out a month after this.
Well, I think that's because it came out a month after.
Probably. The film earned $31 million at the box office from a $6.5 million budget.
Nice.
It would be the 4th highest grossing film of 1965 in the U.S. At 85 characters, Those Magnificent Men was the longest titled film to be nominated for an Academy Award until the 2021 nominations of Borat's subsequent movie film, Delivery of Prodigious Bribe to American Regime for Make Benefit Once Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan.
I love him so much.
Lord God, that is the longest title ever. Most cinemas abbreviated the full title, and it was eventually released with the shorter title.
Oh, that's great.
So it was nominated for the Best Story and Screenplay written directly for the screen at the Academy Awards, but lost to Darling by Frederick Raphael.
Who remembers that?
I don't. The success of the film prompted Annakin to write, again with Jack Davies, and direct another race film, Monte Carlo or Bust, in 1969, this time involving vintage cars with the story set around the Monte Carlo Rally. It was released in America as Those Daring Young Men and Their Jaunty Jalopies.
Those daring young men and their jaunty joppies. Oh, they be choppy joppies.
Technically, this is a sequel to the movie, The Magnificent Men and Their Flying Machines, because it's connected through Terry Thomas, who's also in Monte Carlo or Bust, playing his character's son from Those Magnificent Men in the pseudo-sequel.
Oh, yes, the gap in my teeth is genetic.
Apparently.
Hey, you know, what a fun movie. Again, an epic comedy.
Yeah.
A 2.5 hour
is.
comedy.
Yeah.
And it's not, there's no other film that has the miracle pacing that Mad World has.
No.
I mean,
it's you can't compare the two.
They need to teach that as the prime example of what pacing is.
Yes.
But this film is paced fine. I did not get bored.
No.
I liked the characters. This was a different movie because it had a huge cast, an international cast of really likable, fun, adventurous people, you know?
It's a really fun movie to sit down on a Sunday afternoon and just go with it.
Exactly. These were the kind of movies that you sat down with your sister, your brother, or your dad, or your stepdad, or whatever, on a Saturday, Sunday afternoon. Your old stepdad's having a beer.
Yeah.
Oh, remember this movie? You should watch this. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know, it's really old. And then you sit down and you watch it, and you're like, holy shit, this is super effing funny.
Yeah, this is really good.
And Terry Thomas is in it, so I love it. But as much as I really enjoyed this movie, and I really did, the revelation from this movie is Gert Frobe.
Yeah.
For me. Frobe. is...
He's so brilliant.
I'm going on a Frobe hunt.
Go hunt some Frobe. He's so good, man. He's so good.
If nothing else, watch this movie for him. But if you haven't seen it, you're going to really enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like Adam said, sit down, grab a pizza,
Yeah.
and a couple of friends, and make some margaritas or whatever.
Yeah.
Have a fun afternoon watching this movie.
Let the movie wash over you. It's super fun. Yeah. Don't put expectations on it. Just absorb it.
That's the thing about the movies this month, and especially this and Mad World, is Mad World greed or whatever. But they weren't message movies. They were just pure, unadulterated fun.
Yeah.
They were made to go in, have a blast,
right,
and then leave the theater or turn the TV off, and you're in a good mood.
Yeah.
Because you just watched something so funny. And this movie is like that, too. It's not as... It is definitely not as just rapid-fire funny.
Right.
Because nothing is. We got to stop comparing Mad World to anything because it's in its own category. But you're going to see a lot of really great international actors, a lot of great performances, and some really, really cool old airplanes.
Oh, my God.
That are actually flying.
That was my favorite part of this, because the fact that they literally recreated these planes from 50 years prior, 55, 60 years prior, is just insane.
Oh, yeah. It must have been so much fun to make.
Oh, my God. It just looked like everyone was having a good time.
Exactly. And weirdest thing is everybody going into a big old lake of poo and nobody coming out with sepsis.
Yeah.
or a staph infection.
Well, as soon as the movie ended, they all went to the hospital and they all died.
Because, they didn't really understand penicillin.
They all got dysentery.
Yes, they did. They all pooped themselves to death. That was the sequel. Them all just pooping themselves to death.
Well, we'll be back next week, sadly, with a movie that's not as fun. But is necessary for Epic Comedy Month.
Now, I remember when this movie was marketed, I was so excited to see it because I loved Mad World and The Great Race and all of these, crazy, huge ensemble comedies, epic comedies. And it had this really cool disco version of a classical music song.
Yeah.
I think it was... Forget what that's called or who composed it.
We'll figure it out.
We'll find out next week.
I'll have an answer.
But I don't remember this movie very much. I remember Arnold. I remember a couple of weird things. And I remember Richard Benjamin.
Right.
Look... They can't all be Mad World.
But they can be Scavenger Hunt, which we'll cover next week.
Yeah, baby. Now, get yourselves into your flying machines and be careful of the puddle of poo.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
What were we talking about?
Some movie.
As fanciful and nostalgic a piece of clever picture making as fanciful and nostalgic a... God damn it. I'm glad it's always at the end. As fanciful and nostalgic a piece of clever picture making as has hit the screen. As fanciful and nostalgic I hate myself.
It's going to be the longest bloop ever. At over 2 hours, those
Yeah! We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, The Greatest American Hero, already in progress.